Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I am doing for Ting of a track by an actor named Mick Gordon titled BFG Division. And if we switch over to here, if I'm not mistaken, this is from the Doom soundtrack, the 2016 Doom. And we're going to listen through the song from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Just before I get into it, usually with the SP Patreon videos, I don't typically do songs over 7 minutes. So yeah, that's okay though. That's alright. We're going to listen through this one today. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. BFG Division. I'll do the filtering of those guitars on the right. And those synths as well. That's actually fantastic sound design. Hang on, let me just get this. There we go, it's a bit better. You can actually hear the song clearly now through these headphones. Damn, do you see the vibrato there? The way the strings just go, wow. It's a sick tone, dude. Really sick tone. Having the synth sequences just create a really ominous sort of atmosphere, and then that 8th string there, boom. It's great to listen to this through headphones and actually focus on this track as opposed to like play along at the same time. These little minor crescendos and builds and stuff. And like that's the power of it as well. There's dynamic range to this performance as well. Even though you can tell there's a lot going on in the arrangement and the composition, it's still just so heavy. You got 16th triplets going there with like a 1, 2, 3, 4 with that sort of screamy synth on top for that main theme. What I like as well, that sub drop there is so nice and tight. It thuds, it smashes you in the face. It makes sense for the context of the style of music that we're doing. It's very fitting. Great use of space here to focus on that higher octave shift. A little bit of accenting on those cymbals on the left side is there. There's a da-da-da-da-da, you know, there's like a sub layer there as well that's filling up the frequency spectrum a little bit more, keeping things nice and big sounding. So I'm assuming that's a synthesizer that he's doing that. Wow, wow, wow. Ah, so we're developing it, or is that exactly what we had before? Okay, so we're also switching up the way we approach the synth melodies and stuff like that. Because I mean, this is an 8.5 minute track. It's almost as long as Master Puppets by Metallica. The low dinglings, because basically this is the length of a full track these days, you know, 2 minutes 50. Is this a secondary section? Are we going to have a new sort of theme here? We're sort of switching back some of the ingredients we had earlier on at the start of the song. Great job. I like the fact that we're switching it up now. We're not just going back into that main groove we had initially. I think that would have been a little bit sad because even though it's a great sort of motif and arrangement and performance of the first of the 2-3 minutes of the song, you have a lot of real estate in the 8.5 minute track to really sort of switch things up, even if you want to work on those zeros and root notes. Oh, back into it. I don't mind at all. Those kicks there were so tight, man. The side chaining on the bass is great. And again, it's mostly these ambient Foley sounds here. The whispers and reverbs. The automation of the volume. Got sort of industrial kind of vibes, so like Rammstein-ish kind of grooves. Oh nice, making percussion out of those synths, dude. That's clever. I would say it's not just the double kicks and the guitars and everything like that that make this song special. It's the work with those synthesizers, the different sort of ways of approaching the sounds and textures and grooves and rhythms. This is catchy as hell, man. I think a lot of the time this is sort of in the back burner when you're listening to that. You know, this is the stuff that's in the back burner that you might be taking a rest from, but you can still kind of get lost in that as well. Did that show an Axifix for a moment there? Like an old school Axifix? Oh damn, look, do you see that? If we go back here like a little bit. I don't usually do this. Do you see how he's connecting those different synthesizers together? Or is this the guitar layering and the inputs outputs in the digital audio workstation? No, I think it's definitively synths. A lot of work went into this track. You really get the impression that the Slight Doom soundtrack, the 2016 one, was a work of love. You know, it was a passion project for him. Oh, is this what we had initially, or is this a new groove? They're switching the tempo up. Oh, see, I wasn't expecting us. We just had a moment that we had da 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 da. Just experimenting with a new vibe there. It's one of those sort of rare situations where I don't find myself wanting there to be more, how do I say it? More flexibility with going up the fretboard on a guitar, as opposed to staying down with the below distorted notes. I think there's enough work with the synthesizers to balance out the lowness of the guitar being a constant. We're familiar with this by now. I mean, I suppose the devil horns would be appropriate here, wouldn't they? just so tight. Honestly, the production is an absolute masterstroke. Like, I adore it. I adore how fresh and professional it is. Oh, harmonies on those higher synths for the outro. Good, a little bit of extra development here. Did he turn his guitar into a synthesizer? Is that what he did? He modulated it after recording? Because if that's what he did, it's pretty wild. Oh, that sound design, the warps happening on the sides, dude, they're intense. Ooh, that's spicy, man. That's very spicy. Very spicy stuff, dude. All in all though, man, can't really complain. I had a good time with it. I had a good time listening through this track by, yeah. And that's it, it's done. Mick Gordon. I was waiting to say, because I wasn't sure if it was Gordon or Jordan. Mick Gordon, I think, is the guy from Slipknot. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track by Mick Gordon titled BFG Division. I think that stands for Big Fucking Gun, although it's definitely not Big Friendly Giant. I adored it. Obviously, I think this track was just about that particular area of the game, maybe. I've actually played the game myself, from start till finish. I'd love to do another playthrough of it, especially as I've got like a new graphics card now, so I'd like to maybe stream it. I think that'd be a fun way to spend time. Maybe have some, we'll talk about that at another point. But yeah, great stuff from Mick Gordon here. There were no vocals, so obviously that isn't something we need to talk about. The motif behind it with the wow 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 over top of the double kicks and the really intense sort of middle drums with the distorted guitars and the chugging there and the freneticism there with the 3s, 2s and 0s and the bends. You know, like there's some simple sort of concepts there that are just put to their absolute ultimate by the way they've been implemented and the way they've been written. It's great when you have those elements come in and they're at the exact right tone and the exact right placement there, and there's a sense of tension and grit, especially from those aforementioned bends on the rhythm guitar there. The synth on top illustrates a sort of a surreal sort of like spookiness there, a kind of a futuristic kind of hellscape there as per the layer of the game. I think it mirrors that sort of vibe really well. It's fantastic to listen to, but it's not a super happy wow, 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 you know, and it does go down the thing a little bit, like down the measure a little bit, down the keys a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's just it's a track where when you listen to it, you go, okay, so we've got a little bit of that, and what else are we going to fill in the 8.5 minutes in? And as I discussed, just the use of synths for like atmosphere, like with the whooshy kind of windy stuff, or like the more percussive sequences where it sounded like you put like little kicks and stuff like that and little grooves in there. It's just talent. It's just talent and skill and aptitude, and the guy has got it in droves, Mick Gordon. It would have been fine. It would have been enough if it was just guitar, bass, and drums and everything like that, but it wasn't. It was those synths again, the modulation of them, and I think he even might have done some tricky stuff with the guitars, kind of gotten them to loop, and maybe even put the guitar tracks through a synth and kind of modulated them like that, which is really dope. Really dope. Having the guitar moving the octave up or something like that. It's just clever stuff that you can do with technology, but a lot of people, I think, they don't tend to do it because it requires a little bit more effort and it's a bit more sort of niche and specialized. But Mick Gordon's an absolute champ. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, damn near every single track off of the soundtrack for this game is an absolute banger. I really want to play through it again. I would love to have another go at it. At 8 minutes 30, I think that it handled itself incredibly well. It was actually incredibly impressive how well those sort of rhythm parts with the drums and bass, and then the occasional sort of switch of tempo with the da-da-da-da, with the snares, and then those little sort of 16 triplet drum fills. It's amazing how well they keep the attention for that 8.5 minutes. I can't guarantee that every single genre of music works well in this form factor. But this does, and again with the minimalist of like not sort of exploring the fretboard too much with the guitar or anything like that. It was just having intensity, release, intensity, release. It was kind of like we were doing Kegels or something like that. It was great stuff. It was fantastic. Clearly knew exactly when to bring stuff in and when to take it away. Even this change of tempo near the end of the outro, before the outro chorus, with the outro chorus being further developed, having a few extra sort of like kicks occasionally, and some harmonies on those higher sort of synth octave sub layers. It's just fantastic, you know, really clever stuff. So yeah, the structure of it was absolutely fine. I don't mind reviewing longer form tracks if they are this good. And we smashed it. The performance itself on the guitar, I mean, was phenomenal. You could see him playing it. Again, yeah, some could argue that it's not that difficult to play 3s and 2s and stuff like that. But like, dude, it's about how you do it, the intensity of it, the power behind the picking and stuff like that, the dedication and the sort of the accent and the stank you put to that bend. It's great. And most of those are down picks as well, which is not a difficult, easy thing to do at that speed. It's not an easy thing to do at that speed, and he smashed it. I'm not sure if I'm assuming the drums were really played by a drummer. I'm not sure. They could have been sampled. The technology is good enough nowadays that you can sort of like key in and sample drums and not necessarily even need a human being to do it. I'm going to imagine there was a drummer involved at some point. It's okay either way. Again, the use of synths as well to sort of substitute in for sort of percussion when it wasn't doing pads or anything like that was fantastic. And yeah, just the aura of it overall, from like the quiet bits and stuff, like how things sort of like just completely empty out, and it's just knowing when to take stuff away. Like occasionally you just have that octave bend of those guitars and have nothing else, and it would kind of be like you're floating, and then boom, bass drop, and it smashes you back in. Clear methodology here with the composition, clear understanding of music theory. Great stuff. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering it's fantastic. It's damn near flawless. The recordings of different instruments are great. The leveling was just damn near spotless. It was nice and wide in the stereo field. Interesting use of different instruments and elements, especially with those synths on the sides and those quieter parts with the percussion. They really kind of mooted around in the headphones. Look, honestly, guys, I got no complaints. It was nice and loud without pumping. This is a professional release. Mick Gordon doesn't do half-assed. He doesn't do half takes. Legitimately, he's an absolute beast. And I know he's been through some stuff recently with the Doom Eternal soundtrack. There was some stuff, the controversy there. I just hope that he can continue to do more music like this, because it's absolutely sensational. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea having this kind of stuff, but when you think about the Doom soundtrack and the type of game it is, it makes perfect sense that this type of music will be in there. That kind of sci-fi industrial kind of vibe there, alongside the metal for taking down the demons and shit. And that's effectively my SP Patrons video, my review of this track by Mick Gordon, titled BFG Division. Actually, no, I'm not quite done. That guitar tone was incredible. It's one of the best guitar tones I've ever heard in my entire life, and I want to know how he got it. I'm willing to go out and buy the actual stuff he has next year, and actually, because I want that guitar tone. I want it so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this track. Hopefully, you know, if you did, please do go check out Mick Gordon's various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons review. Spiderhands out.